Hey all, what's going on? My name's Hayden and you're watching FBA TV. Let's dive into this video. In this video, I want to talk about, is Amazon FBA even worth starting in 2022? Now, bit of a quick clickbait title. I know people do this clickbait title, but those that watch this channel know that I genuinely care and I'm doing this because I think it's a genuine topic. I'm not just doing it for any sort of clickbait. Is Amazon worth doing in 2022? Let's dive into it because there's a lot of things to talk about. Quite simply, the answer to that question, in my opinion, from selling for almost 3 years now, coming up to I'm just in my third, coming up to my third Q4, is yes, it is worth it. I believe it's worth it. Why? Because I'm earning a full-time income from it. I've recently launched in the USA. Okay, we're building that up. High hopes for that. We're building and building and building the UK and the USA up, and the opportunity is well and truly still there. Now you might be thinking, oh, I hear a lot of people say it's dead, or a lot of people say that it's too saturated and stuff like that. So look, let's just address this. There's a few things to note around here. Amazon FBA as a lot of people usually the people that have no idea about selling on Amazon, by the way, they will just think of Amazon as just one entity, which it is, but selling on Amazon is not just one entity. Let me explain what I mean. When people say Amazon FBA is dead, Amazon FBA is just, you can't make it work, blah, blah, blah. They're usually the people that have tried just one little thing and it hasn't worked for them because they've just gone on a deal sheet or something like that. Not to say deal sheets can't work, by the way, but a lot of them will just, the deals will get saturated, as we all know, and then they get price tagged and then they quit 30 days later. And they've lost a few hundred quid or a couple of grand. Now, they're the sort of trolls that you usually get saying that Amazon doesn't work. So what I mean by it's not an entity as itself, it's not just one entity selling on Amazon. You can do so many different models. So the first thing you've got to do is look at the different models. Okay. Now, look, I'll be honest, all of them or most of them do still work. I'd say all of them work. But you've got different challenges at different times in all of the different models. So let me explain. Online arbitrage in the UK is currently going through what I would say quite a heavy price tanking period. Now, half the people, I'm confused because I don't do it anymore in the UK, but half the people are like, it's dead and it's dying or something like that. It's getting harder and harder, and half the people seem to be not complaining about it, getting on with it, keeping quiet about it because they're making good money from it. Now, good money is subjective, obviously, whatever. But yeah, as I say, so you've got to look at the opportunity to start with, and then let's look at sort of the private label stuff. A lot of people don't do that, but if you find a good niche, a good market, and try not to go for these massive keywords that are going to be really saturated, then creating your own products, creating your own private label sort of stuff, launching your own products, that also obviously still works because it just does. If you find a good keyword that's undersaturated and you get a good product in there, spend some good time and quality time, doing it, that works as well. Now look, that's not to say you should go and spend £10,000 on a shipment from China. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that obviously that opportunity still works because there's millions of customers going to, you just got to find the opportunities. You've got to find the undersaturated keywords. And then you've got things like wholesale. There's a lot of sellers making good money from that, doing big volume and just, doing the numbers, but they're making small margins. So look, the first thing you've got to do is look at the strategy that you're going to implement. Okay, that's important. So that's what I mean by it's not one entity. And the second thing I mean is why it gets more confusing is that not only have you got to pick the strategy, which by the way is relevant for the different times of year and the different seasons and stuff like that, different products, depends what products you're selling. It all depends on the products that you're selling. If you're going to sell good summer stuff in the peak of summer and everyone else sells out, you're going to do well, right? If you sell good Christmas stuff when everyone else has sold Christmas stuff at Q4, you're going to do well. I think a lot of the times, if I'm honest, people just don't put enough time and effort into it because they don't feel like it's a real business when it really, really, really is. And the next thing we've got to look at, on top of the strategy, so that's a whole thing in itself. This is why Amazon's just selling on Amazon. You can't stereotype it as one thing, dead, because it's just not like that. The second thing we've got to look at is where you're going to do it. Are you doing it in the UK? Are you doing it in the USA? Are you going to do it in the European countries? Are you going to set up as a VAT registered seller in these European countries? Are you going to sell in Germany? Are you going to sell in Canada? There's all these different places. I think it's live in Canada now. Yeah, anyway. And Australia. Like, there's all these different places that you can sell in So, as I say, when people say, oh, it's dead, oh, the opportunity isn't there, it's like, well, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. Because I don't think Amazon can ever die unless they stop letting third-party sellers sell on their platforms. In which case, we would just have to pivot and go to Shopify and go to eBay and stuff like that. But look, you've got to first look at, if you're wondering if it's still an opportunity, I think the first thing you've got to look at is pick your strategy. Look to see what interests you most. Think about your long-term goals. And then decide where you want to do it. Do your research and look to where you want to do it. Now, it may be that you just want to, if you're watching this from the UK or if you're watching this from the USA, it may be best to just start off in your country and not have making profit as the main goal. And then once you've done that, then you can say, right, I know how to do this now. Let's get my feelers out, post in the Facebook groups, FBA TV's got a good Facebook group, join it below. There's other ones, Ecom Inner Circle, very good Facebook group in the UK here as well. Join some good Facebook groups, look at some YouTube videos, start to sell yourself a bit, okay? Start selling on Amazon, and then you can start saying, look, where's the best place? Where does the untapped opportunity seem to lie in the country? Set up in that specific country. It could be the one you're currently in or whatever, and then look at the strategy that you want to implement in that country. It could be your country, it could be another country. Look at the strategy you want to implement. Get your feelers out, ask questions. But the one thing I would say is be careful asking too many questions about specific topics from negative people, because a lot of the time you've got to remember the people that are doing really well, it just happens to be this game. The people that are doing really, really well, generally, okay, I would say I'm an exception. I would say there's other people in the community that are an exception, but the people that are doing, relatively well or really well, most people are not sharing their success because they don't want it to be saturated, because they're scared of it being saturated. So you've got to understand that a lot of the time you're going to get the negative comments from the people that haven't worked hard at it, that haven't made it work, or blah, 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 or they're trying to put you off. Okay. Now, that's not to say everyone's doing that, but you just got to be aware of that. Okay. So that's my honest take on the opportunity of Amazon in 2021. Take it as you will. Have a look into it, and I will see you in the next video. Make sure you subscribe.